Hello guys, welcome back. In this video we will explore another very commonly used React hook called useEffect. So let's get started. We have a hello world ReactJS project, and to use the useEffect, let's import it. useEffect from React, and here what we need to do is we only declare the useEffect, and it will give us a function, the first parameter as a function, and it has a second parameter where we declare the dependencies, right? So what it will be doing is it will call this function as soon as these dependencies changes. So whatever we will declare here, on changing of those dependencies it will call this function, right? And by default, if we emit these dependencies, it will call this function on every re-render of the component, right? So suppose let's do this. Let's console.log useEffect called, save it, and let's open the console and refresh. You see useEffect is called, and let's add suppose few buttons to show that re-render is called, and suppose on click we want to do some state changes. And if you are new to the useState hook, I have already created a video on that, and I will add the link in the description below as well as in the icon, so you can go through that. I have gone through the some initial concepts and some rules against the hooks, so please go and explore that as well. So let's declare you can say render and set render, and suppose its initial is 0, and on click of any of this re-render button we will set re-render to any value. Suppose let's call it math.random, right? And on click of any this button, it will set the re-render value to this one, and suppose here we show that value as well, so that we know that it is calling or re-rendering our component. Here it is initializing value 0, and on re-render it is, and also you see on each of the re-render it is calling our this effect on each re-render, right? It is calling, right? And if we wanna say that it should call only once, so then we can give us an empty array. So here what we are doing is that if this dependency changes, because we are saying here the empty array and it will not change in future, so it will only call this useEffect only once in the life cycle. So let's refresh it, and useEffect is called, and now if I am re-rendering it, but it is not calling this function again and again and again. And suppose if you want to do a dependency that as soon as this render is changed, do this, and refresh. You see every time this render value is changing, it is calling useEffect, right? Here you go. And also as other states or the hooks, we can add multiple useEffects. So suppose we want to do something here, we want to do something when it is first time called, or we can say that when the component is mounted, we want to do something, we can do here, right? and if we say another whenever this render changes, we can do something here. We say that render changes, right? And similarly, you see the component mounted is only called once, and render changes is called as soon as this rename button is pressed or the value is changed, right? So here we can declare as many use effects as we want, and we can declare its dependencies, and we can even declare multiple dependencies as well. So the dependency 2 or dependency 3, or so if any of these dependency will change, this function will be called, right? And also moving forward, if suppose there are some cases that suppose on mount we subscribe to something, or we register something and we wanted to deregister, or we wanted to unsubscribe to that. So what we will be doing is we will be subscribing here, and it will return a function that we can call it a cleanup function. It will be returned as soon as this useEffect is useEffect's cleanup is called. So that will be called whenever this dependency changes or the app component is demounted, right? So here we cannot mimic it correctly. Let's do it in here. So as soon as the render will be changing from value 1 to value 2, it will calling this cleanup. So suppose here we have subscribed to something, and on cleanup we will unsubscribe from that. So for now, let's only console to see that the cleanup called, right? So refresh. You see, as soon as the value is changed, the cleanup is called. Again, value change, the old cleanup is called, and then re-render changes, right? First the old cleanup is called, we will unsubscribe from something, and we will clean up the things here, and then we will do the additional things or resubscribe to something here. All right. And there are also some cases, suppose if we want to say that if the render value changes, we want to change another state to something else, and we want to render that as well here. So suppose we declare state here, and we're going to set state, and the default value may be 0, and let's populate the state here as well, and let's call it state, right? You see state is 0, and on re-render it is doing nothing. And suppose we want to say that as soon as this render value changes, we want to update the state as well, another variable or another state we want to change. So that will be useEffect, and as a function with the dependency of render, what we want to do is we want to set state to set state will be this function. We want to set state to be, suppose we want to say that round math dot rounded value of the render, right? You go, so it is 1 0 something, right? So this way you can use the useEffect if you wanna call something on mount, or you wanna call something when its dependency changes, or even we can update the states when this one state changes, we want to update the other state. And even if we can add another useEffect to be doing something else if this state changes, and this whole chain can work. But there are few rules of the React hooks, that is that you can call all of these states, or even useState or useEffects, on the very top level. You cannot call them in an conditionally. So we cannot write that if something, then do useEffect, right? This is not allowed, right? So if we want to do something in a conditionally, you will be what you need to do is we call it every time and do the conditioning here if needed, right? So that is it on exploring the useEffect webhook or React hook, sorry. And if you have any question, please let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please hit like, subscribe to my channel. See you in next video. Thank you.